civil government derives its just authority from the consent of the governed. Now, that's something that was not necessarily in writing before that declaration. In a way, the British monarchy was sort of, maybe kind of, something that happened based on the consent of the governed, but it was a long stretch. What Americans were after is saying, we want a document that we can sign through our representatives that literally creates our form of government. In fact, the first place, about the only place you can go back to find a model for that is the ancient Hebrew Republic, where Moses came off the mountain with a proposal. Yes, they were 10 commandments. They were God's point of view in regards to the covenant, but the people weren't required to submit to that covenant. They had a choice.
Yep.
And if you study that period of time of revelation, the people went up the mountain, the people came down the mountain. Moses went up the mountain, Moses came down the mountain. They went back and forth multiple times. In fact, there's even a literal situation where they sat down and had a meal together up on the mountain to talk about this. It'd be trivial to say that God had lunch with them, but it was the sort of meeting where the leaders of Israel were together to say, is this something we're going to do? And when they walked off, they did have a representative form of government in a covenantal relationship based on divine authority and the manifestation of the Word of God. This is the theory posited and validated by Harvard professor Eric Nelson in his book, The Hebrew Republic. You have to go that far back to find a model example of an organization, a government built on consent. So when that word leaps off the page, and that term leaps off the page of the Declaration of Independence 250 years ago, it wasn't a coincidence. It was epic. It was landmark. There had never been a government created in this fashion, not based on power or upon land or upon wealth or upon just brutal force. This was built upon an agreement